As we say hello and welcome everybody to the virtual Darlington Raceway here for week 4 of the season 6 of the SAAC Cup Series. Here once again from the virtual Darlington Raceway. Hello, my name is Christian Delgado alongside Matthew Perchatsky. Once again up here in the HVTV booth. And Matthew, we saw an interesting race nonetheless last week from Sebring as we saw a multi-class race. We saw the 12 of Robinson come home with the win. Obviously, multi-class racing with the truck series. So obviously very interesting to say the least, but coming to the Lady in Black tonight here, one of the hardest tracks on the schedule out of these traditional oval tracks here in Darlington.
Yeah, not only one of the hardest tracks on the schedule, Christian, but one of the most historic tracks coming to the Lady in Black here in Darlington, South Carolina. Obviously, happy to be up here in the booth for the SAAC Cup Series and coming off of a very exciting race over at Sebring Raceway in Florida, taking the trip up the coastline on the East Coast side of things, and gonna have a good show for you guys here at the oval, which is a non-symmetrical oval here at Darlington. So a very unique racetrack with a lot of history, a lot of character, and a lot of just really good racing overall in real life. And so as we get ready to take to the track here with the SAAC Cup Series, we're going to be rounding off our practice session here with just under 8 minutes to go. But yeah, a lot to look forward to, Christian.
Definitely a lot to look forward to, Matthew. And, you look down here, and the driver sitting top of the board here in practice right now is the driver who kind of, in a way got dumped last week at Sebring. Obviously, we talked to Robinson, who won the race last week in Victory Lane, said he didn't mean to and didn't really like the fact that he had to do that to get the win. But Austin, he said, I'll remember that one in an interview later on. But he leads the practice right now with that 29.832. You see further behind here, Diego Roland. Cody Rivera is your top 3 in practice.
Yeah, and obviously redemption on the line for the driver that got dumped last week at Sebring. And yeah, we think about, obviously all the implications of, long-term, retaliation and whatnot. And obviously, we want to see these guys race clean. We want to see these guys put on a good show for everyone at home and us in the booth. But obviously, yeah, when you have a driver admit that, they're going to keep that in the back of their mind, moving forward. You hear it all the time on, a lot of drivers' podcasts and interviews, but, drivers don't forget, right? They have some of the best memories when it comes to, remembering how they drove around a certain driver and whether or not they received the respect that they feel like they deserved or not in a certain situation. So, yeah, for one, obviously, going to be interesting to see how they race around each other, but, good opportunity to bounce back here, obviously try to get some points. And, I mean, as you think about, a lot of these drivers right now who are pretty fast. Take a look at this 9 car here of Connor Trafari and as well as Matthew O'Brien in the 43 car. How about that $43 Tree STP Camry out here at Darlington? It's going to be the paint scheme that Eric Jones is running, I believe, at Daytona this weekend in the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona. So very cool to see that crossover here in the SAAC Cup Series, but obviously a pretty iconic number and paint scheme for this track.
Obviously, when you think of throwbacks, you think of the Petty family and that, and obviously all they've done for the sport and everything, and likewise like that. And you just have to go back and think of when you think of a throwback, you think of that 43. And it's cool to see the Matthew coming out on track here, bringing those colors to life. Obviously, as you said, bringing this car to track here, this in Daytona. Obviously, really, when you think about it, any 43 car is kind of a throwback because now Legacy Motor Club has always kind of kept that that STP blue and red on the car as much as they can.
Yeah, certainly, and obviously, we think about the 43 car, we think about the 3 of Dale Earnhardt, we think about the 11 of Denny Hamlin, most recently, being the veteran driver of the series, and obviously cool to see a lot of parallels as we take a look at Ollie Reeves in the 31 car, currently 11th on the board. And, these practice sessions, Christian, with just under 5 minutes to go, this can do a lot for you as a driver. But, talk to us a little bit about, what the kind of things that you're doing in the sim are when you're in a practice session getting ready to qualify.
Looking at Ollie here, just trying to hit his marks. And I think that's a good way to start off is hitting your marks, trying to figure out what the car wants to do here at Darlington. Obviously, one of the trickier tracks we're going to come to, we talked about earlier. But it's just about figuring out what the car wants to do. Obviously, track temp's going to mean a whole lot, and we'll talk about that later on in the show tonight. But the Ollie out here hitting his marks right now, as we'll go ahead and try to look at our point standings coming into tonight here into Darlington. Obviously, Sebring kind of shook up some stuff because obviously when you think about Sebring, you think about those road courses, think about those road course ringers. But go ahead and take a look at our top 16, actually top 17 coming into Darlington. Obviously, Christopher Robinson, he won last week from Sebring. He takes the point lead with that win. It really shot him up the board. They're up 5 spots. AJ Hyder, P5, up to P2. Andretti Robinson, P3. Connor Chafari, P4. Your top 5 consists of that 72 of Gabriel Dahari. He jumps down 4 spots after coming in as the points leader in the Sebring.
Yeah, and how about Austin Doran going up 17 spots, right? You know, that's a huge jumper, and they obviously talked about a few of the big losers in Dahari and as well as Malachi Drake going down 4 spots. But yeah, we take a look at James Bomar, obviously, you know, sitting pretty right there in 7th place. Austin Doran 9th, as we mentioned. Alex Schumacher in the 68 car rounding out that top 10. As we look at 11th through 16th on back, take a look at Matthew O'Brien in that 43 machine we just mentioned, up 5 spots. Wyatt Roberts has a pretty big presence here at the network, so cool to see him once again finding success in the SAAC Cup Series. Duncan Faw down 4 spots. Justin Rott down 1. Brian Lorenzo, as well as Michael Walls right on that cut line.
And look back there right outside the cut line. Cody Rivera is 2 points out. Looking further back here, I'll go ahead and pull it up. We couldn't fit everybody here on the graphic, but we look at Cody Rivera's 2 points out, Gabe Kazola 8 points out, and Donovan David in a 3-way tie for P19 with Brad Zizweski, Shockey, Tarpley. They're 10 points out of the cutoff line. Obviously, still week 4, still a lot that can happen here tonight. Coming into Darlington, obviously coming into week number 4, not a lot of races under all these drivers' belts. Still a lot of time and a lot of points to catch up here coming into Darlington. Obviously, we talked about it. As you see the 28 here, we're just going to talk about it, how difficult it is and how easy it is to just, you know, get behind on the steering here. You'll see the 28 of Zizweski around here. I believe, and that's in turn 2.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, this track is just so abrasive and it's so difficult to get around here consistently and put up those fast lap times without, you know, hitting the wall, getting that infamous Darlington stripe, right? You hear it all the time. And it's when those drivers are just pushing to the absolute limit and, you know, you're washing up the racetrack, you're trying to run that top side and you just inevitably get into the wall, but you know, you're quite literally flirting with the lady in black. You know, you're flirting right on the line of, you know, success and disaster with regard to, you know, your lap times and the momentum you can carry off the corners here. But as we take a look at Cody Rivera's in that 36 car, you know, trying to do his best to just, you know, find that groove and try to stay in that top 5, which he's currently on the edge of. You see 2 cars getting in the wall there already on corner exit. This back straightaway going into this last corner as well, you know, going to be a big opportunity for guys to, you know, make dives. We saw Chase Briscoe years ago, that season that Stewart Haas Racing was closing out their last season, and Chase Briscoe secured that last win for the organization and for the 14 car. Another spinner right there. You know, we saw him make that huge 3-wide move down into the corner and kind of just slide up to the top of the racetrack and keep moving on. So, you know, just definitely a lot of really good opportunities to pass.
It definitely is. There's going to be a lot of passing opportunities, especially when those drivers get that outside wall like we just saw that 36 do. It's about hitting your marks. You can get up there and try to get that wall there, but obviously you hit it too much. It's going to be a race-ending damage here. You see Malachi Drake running some laps out here as we continue to round out practice here. Just under 20 seconds left in practice. So looks like Austin Doran, AJ Hyder, Nicholas Budlimic in the 60. He jumped up to P3 that last second there. He'll be P3 in practice looking into qualifying. See the timer running out, and we'll get ready to get qualifying underway here from the virtual Darlington Raceway. Is obviously, Matthew, we've talked about it time and time again, but especially at a track like this, qualifying is going to mean a lot here. That starting position, that track position with these new next gens, going to mean a lot here coming into qualifying.
Yeah, and track position at, you know, Darlington Raceway is just so monumental. You know, I really can't begin to stress just how important it is to be able to have the upper, you know, the upper hand on the rest of the field just with regard to the position and placement of your car in the field, because, you know, we time and time again, you know, there's just calamity at this kind of a racetrack, and you really can't avoid what happens in front of you, Christian. That's the biggest problem. A lot of the other tracks, you know, you can blow it down, get it down to the apron and kind of, you know, skirt on by or get it through the grass. You know, at a track like this, it's just so difficult to stay out of the trouble that is really inevitable and can happen at any point in time, because this track is just so hard to get around, and you really don't have a good opportunity to have the traditional wreck avoidances that we see at other tracks because of how narrow those corners are.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Just and I watched a video here about just how unique this Darlington, especially turn one and two, is because you just have to drive it completely different than any other track here. As you see, Michael Wall's out of turn one and two here for his first time lap. To what Micah can do here, but I mean, it's definitely a beast of its own. Three and four, it's kind of like a more of a traditional oval. You can kind of do whatever you want here. You can run the top, you can run the bottom, you can do whatever you need to. But Michael Wall's across the stripe. Looks like the first lap for him is going to be 29.801. Decent lap here. Will get him top of the board. Actually, Pete, now Donkin Fall at top of the board right now. We continue to see drivers come out here and to continue to set laps here in qualifying. But obviously, going to be very, very crucial to see who's going to make it work, who's not going to make it work, and who's going to have to drive their way through the field.
Yeah, most certainly. And obviously, we obviously looked at our point standings a little earlier. That 12 car was taken to the point there, and Robinson, and going to be curious to see how he does with this qualifying session. But I mean, obviously, qualifying at a track like this, you can set a really hot lap time in that qualifying session, but if you can't replicate that on the track, you'll find out pretty quickly. Guys will be able to blow by you, and you'll find out sooner rather than later if your car is up to par with the rest of the fields. And obviously, just want to continue to stress the importance of that track position. Being able to have that clean air and get away, and in the sim, Christian, obviously you're a lot more familiar than I am with Darlington and the next gen, but is this as physical of a racetrack as, say, like a Bristol?
I would say mentally, yeah, it is, because I wouldn't say you work in the car as hard, but you definitely have to hit your marks, because it's so easy to see what you did there with Austin. That's the second lap that he just couldn't get at it too very well. If you knock down that wall, if you hit it just wrong, I mean, that's a meatball. That's tire, that's steering damage and everything else. And obviously, it's already hard to drive this car with no damage, at less with some damage. So it's just more of a mental game than I feel like it is a challenging game, like you see a lot in real life, where drivers are just completely wore out at the end of the races here. Obviously, we're at the end of the day, we're just on a simulator. You see Gino Mero putting his car to a stop there. Not going to be able to set a valid lap time. Actually, he will down the P26. Obviously, I think we expect a little bit better out of Gino here. You see Shaver Burns, his second lap time out on track. He'll move up to, looks like 17th for that O2 machine.
Yeah, we see Trafari, obviously, class of the field right now, up about 3/10 on the field with regard to O'Brien on back. But yeah, continuing to see some more lap times being put down here, following along with Donovan David in that Kellogg's Cornflakes Terry Labonte machine throwback. Pretty cool to see that on a Ford Mustang, and a really cool paint scheme that we haven't really seen historically out of the Kellogg's crew. You have almost the scallops replicating that Cornflakes rooster tail right in front of that 94 car, or that 94 number rather. So pretty cool incorporation of the traditional elements from that paint scheme we all know and love, but trying to do new things and different things with the paint scheme is always cool to see as well. So following along with this 94 car, gonna try to set a fast lap time here, currently sitting in 20th on the board.
Donovan looks like he's going to sit P20, as obviously he's completed his 2 laps. But yeah, I really love this paint scheme out of this 94. Really love to see, as we go throughout tonight, to look at these throwback paint schemes that a lot of these drivers like to run here at Darlington. Obviously, the Southern 400, something that, back in the day, this used to be like, I know that it's not as big of a popular thing now, but obviously kind of well known for, having the throwback schemes and everything else. Obviously not as something we really do anymore in the modern era of NASCAR. Wish it would come back, but going to be really interesting to see some of these throwback paints that these drivers decide to run tonight here from Darlington.
Yeah, and Daryl Jarrett said it best, I think, a few years ago when they had the, I believe it was the NASCAR alumni gathering at Darlington Raceway, and a few of the legacy drivers, for lack of a better description, were they were asked about their opinion on the throwback weekend, And Dale Jarrett said, that this is, really necessary for preserving the history and continuing the history of our sport moving forward and being able to introduce and, relay that to newer fans of the sport as well. And so I totally agree with him on that aspect, regardless of what the teams and sponsors may say about, the throwback weekend running its course, relatively, the history is always there and we're always adding to it more and more. But as we get ready to grid, we're going to be making our own history here in the sim at the virtual Darlington Raceway here from South Carolina. We're getting ready to go green.
Yeah, we'll take a look at our starting grid here for tonight's race. Saw Connor Trafaro. He sits top of the board there in that number 9 machine. And another throwback scheme back there, the 43 of Matthew O'Brien. He'll be outside pole in that 43 machine. AJ Hyder in that 44 Pepsi car will be P3 alongside Andretti Robinson in the 45. You look further back here. 5th place will go to Diego Roland in the number 99 machine alongside Duncan Faw, rounding out that row 3. Looking back to P7, Ollie Reeves in the 31 alongside Chris Lilly, Stephen Maggio, Justin Ron, the 76 round out your 10 car top 10.
Looking at 11 through 20 starting position, Alexander G. Schumacher in the 68 car, as well as Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in that 00 car, finishing out that row 6 starting positions. We look at 13th place starter of Nicholas Buldimic in the 60 car. Next to him, Michael Walls in the 24. Shockey Tarpley in that 25 machine is going to start 15th. Austin Doran in the 52 car starting 16th. Traver C. Burns in the O2 machine, my apologies, starting 17th. Gabe Cazol in the 18 car starting 18th, pretty fitting. As well as Brad Swienski starting in 19th in the 28 machine. And Donovan David in the 94 Cornflakes car starting 20th.
Right outside the top 20. Christopher Robinson, last week's winner, going to be that 12 machine back there in P21. P22 will go to Cody Rivera's. Rounding out that row 11, you'll see Fidel Fabian in the 55 alongside Amir Bascom in that 21 machine. Wyatt Roberts, Connor Zola, your top 26. 27th, 28th goes to Gino Mero, the Clan George, rounding out your top 30. Gabriel Dahari, Malachi Drake, your top 30. Be rounding out the ninth field. Brian Lorenzo decided not to set a lap here tonight here from the virtual Darlington Raceway. He'll start. He'll enter the field in 31st.
Getting ready to go green here. Going to be really fast race, a hot one for sure as we are during the daytime here, Christian.
And taking a look at our race weather, 79-degree air temp, 108 track temp. So we talked about it being hot and slick. Definitely not ideal racing conditions tonight here from South Carolina, but you see the humidity up a little bit, a little to no wind, partly cloudy out here from Darlington, South Carolina.
Yeah, and a hot and slick track makes for a lot of trouble in the race car at times, but it'll be a lot of fun for us up in the booth to watch these guys wheel these cars around the racetrack as we get ready to go green coming off turn 4.
You see lights still on the pace car, so it looks like we will take one more lap here, but obviously some more keynotes here. Obviously 127 laps tonight here from the virtual Darlington Raceway, so plenty of laps for these drivers, even if you are someone like Lorenzo in the back. You look at Malachi Drake, who's also made his way to the back end of this field. Still lots of time to get up to the field here. Darlington, it's going to be a patience track, and those are some of the keynotes to talk about. Patience, keep the car clean, keep the car driving forward. That's exactly what you need to do to get a good paint pouring night here in week number 4. You can be aggressive, but you have to be cautiously, aggressive here. Got to keep your car going forward.
Yeah, I totally agree, Christian. And you checked all the boxes, right? If you're able to check all those boxes as a driver in the sim, you will find yourself in victory lane or close to it for sure. But obviously, at Darlington, you got to pay your respects. You got to be able to respect the racetrack and respect the racers around you, because if you get a little too aggressive, a little too overzealous, it will bite back at you and you will be paying the price. Might end up in the garage. So, got to be careful here. Just make sure that you're checking those boxes you mentioned, Christian.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. You see lights off on the pace car. Pace car down on the virtual pit road. It's going to be Connor Shafari, Matthew O'Brien. It's going to be a Chevy Toyota front row as we'll hand the race back over the bar near the flagman as we'll get ready to go 127 lap screen here for week 4. Coming across the stripe for the first time. Connor Shafari going to lead the lap, but here comes the 44 of AJ Hyder inside here on lap number 1. Almost a little bit of contact going through 1 and 2.
Oh man, shades of Kyle Larson and Ross Chastain on that restart many years ago. Not many years ago, several years ago now. But we see now the 43 car also wants a bit of the action. Trying to get in there, Matthew J. O'Brien.
Yeah, O'Brien going to try to... It looks like he's going to back off for now. Going to let these two drivers battle it out here for the race lead. As we cross the stripe here, it looks like Shafari's going to hold on here to lead going into lap number 3.
Yeah, and obviously that Pepsi 44 machine with a large head of steam here got a really good restart. Feels that momentum in the race car. Trying to make that hard charge forward, and I'm pretty sure that we'll see it. As you see the 44 get into the wall a little bit there, the Pepsi machine. Got to be careful on that corner exit. It really does shoot up at you coming off of turn 2.
And you already see that 44 AJ Hyder up in that outside wall again, but kind of trying to move around, trying to find a little bit of grip where that 9 is. Remember, with these connections, it looks like spin in the back. Caution will not wave. Looks like that's Jonathan Jurgensmeyer into 00. Self-spin in the back there in that Ford Mustang. No caution quite yet. We'll take a look on the replay to see what happened here.
Yeah, it looked like you might have been on corner exit there, the 00 car getting out of shape, but follow along here with the 00 car. With, I believe, the 51 car on the outside, possibly.
Ooh. Yeah, that was the 53 of Chris Lilly. It looks like just a little bit of incidental contact. Those two meeting right off the corner exit there. See, unfortunately, Jurgensmeyer get the worst of it here, but back to green. We'll see him get up to speed. Connor Shafari still leading the way, but still has, a little bit of a pressure from the 44. He's gotten it back within 0.3. And look further back to O'Brien in that 3rd place spot, just over half a second behind. And the rest of the field here looking like they're going to go single file for the time being, just trying to get these laps underway.
Yeah, and you just know that that's got to be scary for the 9 car at Shafari, because you just saw the 44 Pepsi car basically bin it and throw it into the wall, missing the corner 2 times in a row. And it's still keeping pace, still keeping up with these guys. And obviously, goes to show that this next-gen car is just very versatile and, very durable. But as we see, actually, we do have a caution on the racetrack now.
Like further in the back here, Donovan David, that throwback machine. A lot of damage on the front end. I see the 36 of Cody Rivera's also caught up in this one. So our first caution of the day here on lap number 7. We'll go back and take a look on it on the HVTV replay here. See what happened here between this 38 and the 94 machine.
Obviously, a few cars involved here, more than likely on corner exit, but see right there, the 21 and the 36 running that high lane, and the 94 car on the bottom of the racetrack. Not clear.
Yeah, just trying to get up there. It's super, super sketchy. Oh, did you see the 13 as well? Connor Zola and that Caterpillar throwback scheme. Get caught up in that as well, but we'll go back and take another look at this real quick. They just look like just the 94 just trying to get up because it's super tight on exit here on turn 2, and here it's like, do you give up the spot or do you kind of try to put the other guy in the bad spot here? Unfortunately, the 94 tried to get up, not clear. He'll hook himself off the front bumper of the 36, and then you'll see the 13 of Connor Zola come in here with a huge head of steam. Not really anywhere he can go. He's got a driver to his inside as well. You'll see him clip the 94 and narrowly missed the 36 there. Him and inside wall almost kissed there, but yeah, and just nowhere to go for that 13 machine. Not a lot of damage, it looks like, on that Caterpillar car.
Yeah, and that white car, the 90 of Malachi Drake, was the one that we saw skirt on by there and get through that wreck. Pretty good avoidance from him, but yeah, I also saw Wyatt Roberts get an avoidance there. So some pretty heads-up driving, but for the other drivers caught up in it, obviously some bad luck to start this race with not even 10 laps complete. But, such is the nature of just running that low line, like you mentioned, Christian, trying to be aggressive and trying to keep that car in front of the other car on corner exit, and just drifting up the racetrack, didn't have enough space, not enough real estate for those 2 cars.
Yeah, we'll go back to see Cody Rivera is still down on pit road trying to service this machine. Like I said, nowhere to go there. You see those pit crew men trying to figure out what to do here with this 36 car. But obviously nowhere to go for the 36. Just hard racing further down the pack here. Out he goes, trying to beat this pace car off. Stay on the lead lap here, but the 36, a really nice looking paint scheme for him. Trying to keep this race alive.
Yeah, and obviously, what more can you do at this point, right, Christian? It's only only 10 laps into this event now. Next time by, I think everybody deserves it. Deserves to just give themselves a chance. No matter how much damage they might have. Try to salvage back what might be a mediocre day. All in all, when this race concludes, but why not have a mediocre day rather than calling it quits too early on? And I always love to see that out of the guys that are so they could so easily call it quits and be down in the dumps, but they choose to stay strapped into the sim and take that car back out on the racetrack and try to make something out of it. So damage hopefully repairable for those cars involved in the wreck, but nonetheless going to be an obstacle to overcome for this race moving forward.
And obviously we saw that 36, not a lot of damage, so got pretty lucky there when it came to what could have been there. So see if Cody can bounce back there. He'll start P29, but once again, you'll see the pace car hard left down pit road, and this time you see the 9 of Trafari. He'll pick the top side here, so they'll see these 9 and the 44 flip spots here. But back to the green flag here. Trafari in the restart zone, back green here to start lap number 10.
See a pretty orderly restart there. The 44 able to jump to that high side, get that preferred line on entry. We'll follow the 9 car Trafari into the corner.
Now you'll see single file further on for the first kind of 3 or 4 spots, but the side-by-side battle further back here as people are trying to make some moves. Here comes the 99 of Diego Roland. Battle for P3. Trying to take it away from the 43 of O'Brien.
And that 99 Mobile 1 machine staying on his inside. That's O'Brien on the outside. Really tight on exit there. Able to make it work, keep it clean. He finds a spot right behind O'Brien in that 43 machine.
Yeah, finds a spot there. You see further back here, Ollie Reeves trying to make some spots up there. That's Justin Rott in the 76, that GOAT Chevy Camaro. The thumbnail car trying to make up some spots here. Right now, down 1 spot, so trying to get back around the 76 to get back where he started his qualifying run. But you're starting to see already a lot of these drivers trying to be cordial, trying to get back to that single file, try to find that rhythm once again here from Darlington.
Yeah, and you see now single filing out, trying to find, just that rhythm, but obviously trying to carry that momentum from that restart. We just went green a few laps ago, getting ready to just try and sort things out. That GOAT machine ready on board with the 76 of Rott. See right there, Justin just trying to make sure he keeps all of his checks and balances monitored. Right now, doing a pretty good job, honestly. See, diving down to the bottom of the racetrack with Robinson just closing in ever so slightly.
Andretti had a good run at Sebring last week, and something I love to see at that 45 right there. The 76 had a run, he drove it in there, and the 45 just gave it up. That was smart thinking right now. Either Andretti just doesn't have the car that he needs to keep the pace right now, or maybe he's just saving his equipment, saving his tires a little bit. With that dirty air, the tires are going to wear a lot if you overdrive the car. And I really love to see that 45. 76 got to the inside, saw that he wanted to make the move, and the 45 just gave it to him, said, hey, I don't want to put us in a bad spot out of turn 2. We've already seen it once this race with 2 drivers trying to go for the same spot out of exit of 2, and it didn't go very well. So you saw the 45 just give it up, said, hey, you take it. I might get you back here later. And I raced you clean right there. I expect it to be, and I expect that same thing to happen later on if I get back to you.
Yeah, definitely, Christian. And I think that, you bring up a really good point with, saving the tires and saving the equipment. That will pay dividends at a track like this. And, obviously that combats the abrasive nature of this racetrack and the unforgiving nature of this racetrack, right? And so you see a move further up ahead right behind Matthew O'Brien. Roldan and Maggio going into the corner there. Maggio gets the better of it on the top side, I believe.
And Roland will keep the spot for now. Maggio tried to make the move there in a 1 and 2, but it's once again, 1 and 2 is probably one of the hardest corners in NASCAR to make a spot up unless you're maybe on that top side. You can't just turn underneath someone and make the spot up unless you saw some kind of arrangement like you saw with the 76 and that 45 that we were talking about just a second ago. Unless basically the guy on the top just lets you go, waves you by, it's going to be really hard to make up that spot there in 1 and 2 just because of how the corner narrows out of here, out of turn 2. Because you see quite literally the corner narrows out on exit, makes it super hard to make that pass complete, but you still see that 51 all over the back end of this 99 machine.
Yeah, and it really is a compression on the corner exit that just shoots your car up the racetrack. That is the only line on corner exit. It's very, very difficult to run inside of somebody there and keep the car on the inside on corner exit without making contact. So, yeah, for a lot of these drivers, it's just all about being able to find that fine line. You see right there, trying to keep that car underneath them on that way up the hill there from that corner exit. So, yeah, I mean, it's really tempting to just want to, use your equipment up, use your tires up, and be able to just have that grip on corner exit and really turn off the corner. But it is an art when it comes to being able to roll the corner and just let the momentum and the banking of the track just carry your car forward.
Yeah, it's super tempting to want to use your stuff up and try to make up the spots as soon as you can. I mean, but once again, you use them up now, you're going to have to pay for it later in the run, right? You just can't use them up and expect the tires to still be there. And we've seen this 99. They've slowly caught up to the 43 of O'Brien. O'Brien not being able to find the pace that those two front runners have. Someone I want to point out here, driving through the field, at least he's trying to. Gino Mero in this 46. I know Gino's got a lot of pace here. And this next-gen car obviously wasn't able to complete a valid lap here in qualifying. He started all the way back there in 27th. He's up inside the top 20, trying to run down that 02 car for P16.
Yeah, and a really good run so far for him. Just trying to stay in touch, right? See right there, started 27th, up 10 spots. Really good momentum here. I'm just trying to be able to carry that going forward, right? It's definitely a respectable effort. We'll have to be following along with him throughout the rest of the night to see if he's able to continue that momentum and that forward progress. But definitely a hard charger right now.
I really like that run, that line that Gino runs in turn 2. That's kind of line I like to run as well. You'll see a lot of drivers, they'll dip down last second to make that corner in turn 2. For me, I like to narrow it out to try to give myself a little bit more time to kind of manage the tires a little bit different, because the lower you get, the faster you get, right? You can kind of burn off the rears instead of burning off the front tires here. We'll see if Gino decides to do it this time as well. You see him get the outside wall. You see him, yeah, kind of dipping down a little bit earlier than the rest of the drivers, and that can allow you to, like, manage the tires in different ways here. And you see him already starting to catch up to the back end of the top 15 here. So obviously doing a good job trying to manage the car. We've already seen him get his first Darlington stripe of the race.
Yeah, this is definitely where you start to see that crossover point with saving your tires and using up your stuff, right? A lot of these guys in front of him have been, getting a little racy at times, and so we're going to see the fall off be a lot more evident here as we continue on here. Taking a look further back in the pack, still sorted out for the most part. So we see actually, maybe I'm thinking of a move on the inside of the 12 car, points leader there on the outside of the racetrack with the 02, them being side by side. That's going to allow the 46 car to actually close up in on him.
Yeah, you'll see the 12 try to carry the momentum, trying to keep the spot away from the 02 of Traber. Robinson trying to hold on, but going into 1 and 2, I think he should be able to keep it. With the top being the preferred line, he does. Traber trying to make a move, could not make it work. He's going to fall back to Gino Mero here for P16.
Yeah, definitely got to be mindful of that. As we see right now, riding on board with Mero thanks to Toyota. See just the variation in the lines, right? Dipping down low, right in front of Mero right now, versus running that top side further on ahead. So, the choice is yours, right, Christian? And so, obviously there's a lot of consideration of dirty air and, preferred line for tire wear and whatnot. But, there's just so many different things that, you want to be considering when you progress through this longer run that we're finding ourselves in right now.
And that's exactly what I was talking about, that lower line there comparatively to that 02, and it allowed that 46 to jump up. Now going to be side by side for P16. Gino Mero trying to take it away, trying to continue his march through the field. Going to be side by side still through the front stretch. A little bit of contact almost between those two. Does Gino drive it in or does he give it up? It looks like he'll give it up for now.
Yeah, wow, he definitely thought better of that right there. That's going to stack him up a little bit further back, but I mean, man, that was a great example, Christian, and just the ability to roll that corner. So now side by side right behind him with the 60 machine. Ooh, that's going to be really tight on exit.
That's Jurgensmeyer. Remember, he got caught up with the wreck with him and Chris Lilly. Didn't get the caution.
Wow.
And he's trying to drive his way up through the field here. I mean, he's still quite a bit down from where he started, but he's trying to drive his way through the field, probably trying to follow that 46 through. But right now we see still the 46 having a little bit of issues getting around this 02 machine.
Yeah, and it's just so frustrating when, you're at a racetrack like this and you see him right there actually with a pretty good run. Going to try to just get a little bit of cleaner on that front nose, running a lane lower. Ooh, you see he was able to close up a lot there on corner exit for sure. Ooh, man. Yeah, you saw right there the rear tire starting to lose grip right in front of the 46. Yeah, that crossover point is definitely happening as we see with that O2 machine.
Well, remember, you have to think about that these next gens have that new short track package here at Darlington. Technically, you'd maybe consider this a mile and a half style of track, but it is a mile and a third, right? So the rules categorize a short track as under a mile and a half in length. So they gave Darlington this new rule package, 750 horsepower versus that 670. Obviously, took a lot more downforce out of the cars. I think I saw a car wrecking in the back. I think that was Fidel Fabian potentially going for a spin there. As it was, I think. Regardless, we'll go back up here to the battle. But it's made, you know, saving the tires so much more important here at these style of tracks where it's not really a short track. This is something that the tire wear does matter a whole lot more. You're starting to see, at least for some of these drivers, the rear start to go. I imagine if you pushed a little bit too hard on early in the run, the front tire's starting to show their age as well.
Yeah, and meanwhile, throughout all this, you know, Trifari is just kind of chilling in the front right now. Obviously not developing too big of a gap, but just, you know, kind of setting the pace and dictating right now just where this race is going with regard to that pace of the leader. But the 44 car is still staying in touch there. AJ Hyder with quite a good run off the corner, actually. He's going to cut that gap in half almost.
Yeah, and Connor, I think he's doing a good job at just maintaining the gap right now. Can't afford to burn yourself off trying to get away from one of the best here in the SAAC Cup Series of AJ Hyder. If anything, I'm just going to back it down and run maybe 85, 90% and just try to manage the gap. Obviously, you have that clean air versus that 44 who has that dirty air that he's going to have to manage behind you, right? So if I'm Trifari, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to, you know, stick you right here and just run kind of run a certain lap time to try to keep these tires underneath me. And if I need to pick it up just a little bit to get away from AJ, I'm going to do that. But if I find that I'm really comfortable where I am, I might just back it down a half a tenth, maybe a tenth here and there to try to keep these tires underneath you. Because at the end of the day here with this new rules package, with the Darlington package, tire wear means everything, even more than they did before they changed it. Now it's, you know, twice as bad with the tire wear.
Yeah, you see him right now, almost within a tenth, closing up to that rear bumper of Connor Trifari in that 9 car. The Pepsi machine is definitely on a roll right now. As you see right there, running a lane and a half off of that wall. Maybe a little bit out of shape right there for the 9 car. All the while, Matthew O'Brien right there lingering in that red and blue STP Camry further on back.
And remember, we talked about O'Brien not running the same pace early in the run, and this shows why he wasn't doing that. Looks like that 43 might have been saving his equipment, saving that tire wear, and as these two start to try to push to make each other run a little bit quicker, that 43 has slowly ran these two back down. O'Brien going to be in the picture here, especially if these guys go side by side. AJ Hyder all over the back bumper of the 9 machine.
Yeah, and Hyder just really trying to size up this 9 car right in front of him. And you see he's going to be able to have that run off the corner here with the momentum and that clean air. Matthew O'Brien has got to be paying attention to these guys. We see down to the inside going into turn 1.
Could Trifari give it the spot? Oh. No, they're going to battle here through 1 and 2. Who's going to prevail? Is there going to still be side by side out of the corner exit? This could be really sketchy. Still side by side. They somehow still keep the battle for the lead on going into turn 3.
It's going to be really tight here. You saw the 44 car just barely leaning on the 9 car there. 9 car is going to have the momentum on the top of the racetrack. Going to have to see where they go coming off of turn 4.
Looks like Hyder will clear. Just Safari just could not keep the grip up there on that top side. And I'm not surprised to see that. I think AJ does have a little bit of a better car right now. Was really cordial about making the pass work there. Kept it clean. You saw a little bit of leaning there in the 1 and 2, but you kind of have to do that here at Darlington. He makes the pass for the race lead, and he'll try to get away here from the 9 machine. Connor Trifari going to have that 43 in a second here if he can't figure out what's going on with his car.
Yeah, and it's all about damage control now for the 9 car, Connor Trifari from Matthew G. O'Brien in the SGP colors right behind him because, you know, if you burned up your stuff trying to defend up front for the first position, you know, you just want to make sure if you do get past it, you're not bleeding and letting more and more people get past as a driver. And so right now, Matthew O'Brien still trailing. You see that margin obviously growing from what it was when they were running side by side. So tire wear definitely beginning to be a factor here up front.
AJ is one of the best here at managing his car, managing and keeping the tires underneath him. Connor, I've seen this a couple times where he's been really quick, but cannot manage his tires the best in the field here. Obviously, still a top 2, top 3 driver, I would say, day in and day out, outside of maybe the road courses. But you start to see, you know, that weakness in Jafari start to show a little bit there. You see both cars up in the outside wall there, but still that 43 trying to size up this 9 machine for this P2 position.
Yeah, the walls can really be abused here a little bit when it comes to just, running the lines and coming off corners. You can really smack the walls in the sim and, kind of just continue on by. Just don't want to get that wheel damage, it's that really infamous wheel damage in the sim that can throw things off. As we see the 53 car now on pit road, going to start maybe some green flag cycles here from the 53 car of Chris Lilly.
Yeah, lap 38, Chris Lilly decides to come down pit side here. I think he might have got the outside wall or something because I saw him drop a couple spots, and then he decided to bring his car down pit side here. I don't see a lot of damage here, but that doesn't mean anything because, like you just said, Matthew, you can hit the outside wall pretty hard here and get away with it. Unlike in real life. In real life, if you hit it once in a bad spot, it's kind of game over, and it's just, trying to stop the bleeding. But looks like Chris will, at the very least, be the first car to start potentially a green flag pit stop cycle here. You'll see him 4 tires out of pit road here. He'll cycle out back here around P30. He'll be your first car lap down, so going to need this race to stay green so he can cycle back out onto the lead lap.
Yeah, most certainly. And as we continue to see that gap with the leader just lingering around 1 second, AJ Hyder definitely able to take advantage of that long run pace and put some distance between himself and Connor Trafari. But the green flag pit stop is definitely going to be interesting developments to see if we do stay green here, see where everyone else cycles out and where the leader decides to pit. Then we see once again lap traffic more than likely going to start being a factor here as the 44 car runs up on some slow car traffic as well as the pit stop starts.
Yeah, obviously green flag pit stops could be around the corner. Obviously, we don't know. We don't know. Maybe that 53 had some damage he needed to fix, obviously, or something like that. Or maybe just decided he couldn't control the car anymore. Regardless, potentially green flag pit stops underway. But looks like for now, lap traffic outside of maybe some pit stop guys aren't going to be an issue. The next car up is about 20 seconds behind the leader there, Connor Zola. Obviously, we're running about 31-second lap times here. But the battle for P3 starting the pursuit here. That 43 once again trying to size up the 9. This is about the closest he's been. Connor Trafari up in that outside wall through 1 and 2.
Yeah, and that kind of shook up the 43 car. You see him really trying to work to that inside there. Right there, going to go try to get some side draft. This is actually a really good position to be in, but you see he just backs out, not with the trust in the tires or the grip right now, to be able to make a dive bomb to the inside and slide up right in front of him. You see it's still going to be battling. This is a 9 still in the wall.
Yeah, I think the 43 is definitely going to have a position here to potentially try to make something work. No, backs out again. Now at this point, if you're O'Brien, I think you just have to push the issue even more now because that's, now the second or third time you've had to back out of it, trying to be cordial with the 9. He's definitely holding you up now because now you'll see them go side by side into 3 and 4 one more time.
Yeah, a little bit of contact there on the backstretch as the 43 was aggressive with the side draft. But yeah, Christian, you want to make sure that if you're using up your resources right now in the car, you're going to make the most of it and get the better edge of the sword here.
Yeah, you'll still see the side-by-side, the 43. Once again, he's going to have to try to make it work. Has to back out again. Ooh. Connor Trafari, defensive masterclass right now, trying to keep P2 away.
Yeah, just really good defending, honestly, from the 9 of Connor Trafari as we look further back from Trafari on the Chevy onboard camera. Oh, that's a good spot for him in the 43 car. As you see the 9 get into the wall, this might be his only chance.
Oh, is the 43 loose?
Spinning! Oh, unbelievable. On corner exit, the 43 going to nose it into the inside on the front stretch.
No, Brian. Will he get a caution? I don't think he will.
We stay green. We stay green. And wow, that is unbelievable from the 43 car. Just in a really unfortunate place coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, we just saw him try to size up that 9 machine. Dude, this is going into 3 and 4. We'll get a better angle at it. We're on board with Connor Trafari. Outside wall. And I think there's just a little bit of contact there. Yes, just a slight bit of contact with the 9 of Trafari. Enough to send that 43 around there. Just And that's all it takes is just that little bit of contact, getting your car a little bit of aero loose. Around the 43 goes. What a shame. Had such a good run going. But now he's going to have to settle to try to drive his way back to the field. Here you see the 13 of Conor Zola right behind him now. I believe he'll end up back there in P26 now for that 43 machine.
Yeah, and just hoping that the 43 can have... Oh, wow, as we see the Mobile 1 machine have rolled on. Man, making some hard contact with the outside wall. I'm not so sure there wasn't any contact right before that. Maybe just an ill-handling race car here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was a little bit of help there, but you definitely saw him really upset out of turn 3 and 4. Had to overcorrect the car. You saw him get up in the outside wall, and a little bit of right front damage now on that 99 machine. You'll see a battle now for the P3 position. Maggio trying to look to the outside. They're 3 and 4 are going to be side by side as they cross the stripe.
Yeah, and alternatively to what we saw earlier with the 9 and the 43 battling in turn 4, 51 was able to roll that top, really just carry that momentum there. But we got 4 cars under a blanket here.
And Maggio going to try to get clear out of 2. He will. Now here comes Rott. Going to try to make the move. Now Rott has to back out of it because of the 99. Now it's going to be Rott and Reeves for the P5 position. Ollie Reeves, what a drive to up the... What a drive to get back around where he qualified, up 1 spot. But Justin Rott up 5 spots more. He started as well. A really good run from that 76 and that 31.
Yeah, this is where some of those drivers who have been saving their stuff's cars really come to life. We're hitting that 50 lap mark, right? You know, we start thinking about those green flag pit stops and how lucrative the offer of fresh Goodyear tires and Sunoco racing fuel seems for these drivers who have been really struggling. And the Mobile 1 car rolled in, definitely, pancaked that right side, flattened it a little bit, but obviously not too concerned with that damage. As he continues to lead the GOAT machine right in front of him, or right behind him rather, of Justin Rott in that 76 car.
Yeah, Diego, you could tell that I don't know if it's the damage or maybe just the tires starting to fall off, but that car's not handling the way he wants. You could definitely tell that he's holding up these guys. You're going to see a little bit of side-by-side. 76 with a blink. It makes the 31 have to lift there for it. You can definitely tell his 99's holding up these 2 behind him. Now with Rott blinking, I mean, if I'm Ollie Reeves, I'm like, man, can I catch a break at all? Not only is the car that's leading this kind of pack slower than both of us, but the guy in front of me also having some connection issues.
Wow, yeah, and you saw that back end step out again, a little bit of a twitch and a snap there from the 76 car of Rott. Still chasing down the 99 of Roldan right in front of him, though. You see all these drivers just really holding their own, and once again, a blink. I mean, in the sim, Christian, what's it like to be behind a guy that's blinking out when you don't really know where he's going to reappear?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of drivers who take it differently, right? For me, honestly, if I see a car that's continuing to blink, you kind of have to race him like he's not there, right? And then hope that, if he does come back, that it's not in a bad spot, right? And that he doesn't put you in a bad spot. But if you drive kind of precariously because he's blinking, that's how you lose time. And especially here in these next-gen cars on board with the 31, this is how you lose time. This is how you lose races. This is how you lose championships. If you see, a flaw in a driver, you just have to take advantage of it and detect the flaw and try to, maneuver your way around it. It sucks that, Justin's having a little bit of an internet issues, but if I'm the 31, you almost have to take advantage of the blinking. Try to, because there's no way that the 76 isn't being told over the radio. Or maybe he even knows himself that, oh, man, I'm blinking a little bit. And that's going to get in his head as well, right? Of, hey, is it safe for me to continue to be racing aggressively right over the back bumper of this 99 machine?
That's a really good point, Christian. So, yeah, a lot to consider here as we see the 31 car dipping below that bottom line, getting onto that apron with those left side tires. And now side by side, right here with the 76 car for 5th place, man.
Yeah, the 76 finally maneuvers his way up to the top side. He'll have the advantage here in the 1 and 2. The 99 has to lift.
Ooh.
The 31 trying to fill the space there. Not going to be able to make it work here in the 1 and 2. The 76 will get clear. Now does what does Ollie Reeves do now to try to get around this driver for P5?
Yeah, hoping to just not get held up as much as the 76 was trailing behind Roldan in the 99 car. And we know that that 31 is really able to have a good 3 and 4 and close in on that car right in front of him. So we're going to be interesting to see if he's able to capitalize on an opportunity, possibly turning down off the corner.
Issue is you see the 99 really defensive out of turn 2 there. Going into turn 3 this time. We'll see if the 31 can close in. He's got to be He's got to be pretty impatient now because you see now the 24, Micah Walls, he's up 7 spots from where he started. He's also starting to run down these drivers as they try to maneuver around the 99. Obviously, Diego doesn't have to let these guys by. He's just trying to manage the bleeding, but also here, running like this is also just going to slow you down as well. As you see a little bit of contact from the 31 and the 99. They're still trying to use each other up. 31 wants the spot. 99 is going to have the runoff exit. Still side by side through the Boeing backstretch.
Yeah, going down that Boeing backstretch. Enter Michael Walls in the 24 car. Gonna try to take advantage here on the outside of Ollie Reeves. Ollie likes to run that top side and turn down on turn 4. Ooh, we see a little bit out of shape for the 24 car. Not committing to pushing either of these cars right in front of him.
Through Ollie, you got to just drive it in here and get clear, and that's exactly what he does. Obviously, gonna put you exit speed here, but I feel like you have a better car than that 99. You can afford to drive it down there, and you'll finally see Ollie make his way up inside the top 5. And now it's going to be Micah Walls. I know Micah's not going to be as impatient. You see him putting the back bumper to the 99. Diego, super out of shape there. I knew Micah wasn't going to sit around and wait. He's one of the more aggressive drivers that I've seen on the sim. And for a lot of times for the good reason there. And you see Micah not wasting any time up the P6.
Yeah, using up that 99 car a little bit, trying to get by him. Obviously, you see the gap huge now down the Boeing backstretch. Michael Walls with that low starting spot, 14th, but on the march forward ever since, has not dropped below that 14th starting position. Currently 6th, so on the charge forward, honestly. And Michael Walls, we've seen a lot in a lot of our other broadcasts before too. You know, he's a quiet player at times. You know, he chips away and he really refines his craft behind the wheel of the sim. So. Gonna be able to see if he's able to crack this top 5, maybe get some more out of that 24 car.
Yeah, we're going up to AJ Hyder. He is completely driven away from Connor Trafari. We talked about Trafari not having a long run pace. He's starting to get ran down by the 51 of Maggio, but AJ Hyder, once again, looking to be what might be a masterclass tonight here from the lady in black. Almost a 6-second gap back to P2.
Yeah, 6 seconds is honestly really impressive, to be quite honest with you, and so. AJ Hyder just trying to continue his march forward here as we get close to halfway through this event. So, AJ Hyder definitely the class of the field for the time being, but a lot of that is going to be subject to change here moving forward. So, going to have to see if that gap of 6.7 seconds around that continues to increase or maybe decreases.
We see Diego rolling. He finally takes that car down pit side. We saw the mistake. We saw him continue to plummet after that contact with the 24 for that spot, for that P6 position. Diego finally takes his car down pit side. There's still a little bit of right front damage to the 99, but needed those tires pretty badly. You saw how bad that car was driving. He'll be one of the other drivers to come down pit side here. The issue is, here comes Trafari. So this is probably around now what the actual green flag pit cycle is here comes the 9 out of pit side.
Yeah, I was just going to mention Christian Connor Trafari now. Going down the pit lane, coming off of pit lane, actually. Going to be interesting to see where he cycles out in this green flag pit stops. So, yeah, just about at that halfway point, Christian. The 9 car likes to come down pit road. He's going to cycle out right in front of the 42 of Wyatt Roberts. And so 4 fresh Goodyear tires and Sunoco Racing fuel. Going to be really, really interesting to see how he blends here.
To the 60, really upset there. That's Budlimic in the 60 machine. He gets it going, but honestly, I mean, if you're the 9, I mean, I don't, unless there's an issue out of that 44 somehow, I don't know if you can make up 6 spots, 6 seconds here in a green flag pit cycle, especially when you merge here in traffic. Maybe if you come out and you have a clean track and a head of steam, maybe you might be able to make it work, but you still see AJ Hyder continuing to stay out there. That'll give P2 the Steven Maggio, Justin Rott now your top 3 as the pit cycle starts to run out. You see Fidel Fabian down pit side here. And, yeah, and now really the only question is, when does AJ Hyder come down?
Yeah, good point, Christian. And I think that crossover point, may have already passed, right? It's possible that Hyder staying out here on old tires is costing him lap time. But you see that gap to Maggio still just around 7 seconds. And so we'll have to see if that gap remains consistent, or if there's a fall off with either the driver in first place or second place, and if the management of the tires is to the benefit of the 44 car.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. There's only a couple drivers who have come down pit side yet. The furthest up is Connor Trafari back in P20. We have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 or 9 drivers who have come down pit road. Everybody else has decided to stay out. Trying to gamble here. Maybe looking for a caution here to reset this field here. But someone I want to look at here, Brian Lorenzo in that one machine, did not set a qualifying time. He's right now, granted, there is a pit cycle. He's running up here in P8.
Yeah, really good to see out of Lorenzo, and definitely a different approach than most took with the qualifying. You see that low of 31st, currently 8th. That high of 9th is going to get updated real quick here, but Brian Lorenzo actually going to take it to the pit lane now, so he will elect to come down the pit lane, get his pit service in that University of Albany car. A pretty cool purple and white paint scheme.
I'm about to say, a caution would have really made his day a lot easier. We got a caution around this time, but you'll see him come down pit side here. Or, you see him overshoot his box a little bit. That's not what you want to see, but you'll see the right side's up. See him take 4 fresh Goodyear tires, and he'll make his way down out of pit side here. Just around, just like you said, Matthew, just around that halfway point here. Here comes AJ Hyder, your race leader.
Wow. You see right there now, AJ Hyder going to try to see if he can blend out after this pit cycle.
See him make his pit stop here. Obviously, we'll see 4 fresh Goodyear tires for the 44 Pepsi machine as well. And now, where does he blend out comparatively to the rest of the field here? And a lot shorter green flag pit stops. So remember, iRacing, really cool. They saw the changes in real life with the pit stops. And, in real life, you don't see anything really abnormally above 11 seconds here on pit road. So iRacing said, you know what, we're going to make the changes too. They've also changed the time it takes to take 4 fresh Goodyear tires here on these next-gen machines. They bumped it down to around 10 to 11 seconds. So that's also something to think about here. If you want to take full fuel, you're going to have to sit in the box a little bit longer to make sure it gets filled up here. So we'll see AJ Hyder out of pit road. Look back, Connor Trafari, only about 1.5 seconds back to that 44 machine. Granted, he's got about 7 lap older tires, but does he have anything to go run back down that 44 machine?
Yeah, definitely. You see Trafari right now behind Hyder on the pit cycle. So,
and you hear him, he's saving fuel.
Wow, yeah, definitely.
Pull up our telemetry here. We'll see him, watch. When he gets in the corner, turns the car off. Trying to coast it in on that corner entry, which makes me think that he tried the short pit, but now knows that he cannot make it 100% going hard on fuel.
Wow. Wow. Just unbelievable, honestly. I mean, you saw him leading the pack for large majority of the first half of this event, but once he handed the lead over to the AJ Hyder, definitely kind of fell off a little bit there. So it's definitely costing him now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he falls around after that. You look back to AJ Hyder. He already took his pit stop. He's already still in the top 5. That's how much of a gap he had back to everybody else. He took his pit stop. He's sitting back there in P5. Everybody else in front of him still have to come down pit side. So, yeah, I mean, technically Cody Rivera, he's going to lead some laps. He'll have to come down pit road. He's ran 64 laps on these tires. Look back to Wyatt Roberts. He comes down pit side. He hasn't come down pit road at all yet. This is 72 laps green on these tires.
That's honestly pretty incredible. And, yeah, Roberts definitely would have liked to see a caution there. He had already gotten lapped, I believe, by Hyder earlier on. So, you see right now side by side with the 24 and the 36 car.
And if you're this 36, it's just about managing your car now, because everybody around you has fresher tires. They are significantly quicker than you right now. I mean, you've got 65 really 60 lap older tires compared to the most of the field here. You have to keep out of the way here. Granted, you are the race leader for now. You just have to keep that car clean and almost just wave people by if you need to, right? Pass me on the inside, pass me on the outside. And then whenever he decides to come down pit road, then you just got to call it out. Obviously, the 3 drivers in front of that 44 probably just looking for a caution to help keep some track position here. Just over halfway done in this race.
Yeah, and with halfway through this event right now, the long-term green
This is
flag
gonna
has
miss
been
pit
going.
road.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow, that is tragic for the 36 car. Was not able to get it wound down quick enough coming off of the banking.
And not gonna be what he wants here. I mean, Malachi Drake's still about 2.5 seconds off of him. So has a little bit of time to bleed, but obviously he needed the pit right there and could not make it happen. Looks like he'll probably try again here in the 3 and 4. You're on lap 75, going to try to come down pit side. I didn't think he was going to make it. I saw him. He already hit the cone here going into pit road the first time. This time backs the way down, make sure he gets it right this time. That's just such a loss of time there for that 36. Had it slowed down. I mean, trying to make it down and just couldn't make it. Decided to just take the hard right turn to come back on track versus put himself in an even worse spot, giving himself a penalty or something else. But you see the 36 in pit road here. He'll take his final pit stop of the race.
Yeah, and Trafari is going to be up about 6 seconds, or rather, Hyder is going to be up about 6 seconds on Trafari. Once that race for the lead cycles back to the front now, Malachi Drake, the only car out on the track who has not pit yet, to my understanding.
Yeah, Drake still needs to come down sooner or later. He's ran 68 laps here. I mean, he's getting ran down about a liter here. So, I mean, at this point, he needs a caution within the next maybe 2 or 3 laps. And at this point, this is just desperation here for this 90 machine. And you'll see Malachi. I think this might be, he just can't go any further on fuel. So you'll see him take the hard left turn, and then here comes AJ Hyder. Retake your race lead here on lap 78. Yeah,
and way back there in the shot was the 9 car of Connor Trafari. Ooh, a little tight there. Car on the wall to his outside. Got to be careful there.
Yeah, Brad Truss trying to hold on to the lead lap, I believe. That 28 machine.
Oh man.
And I mean, he's allowed to fight. He's allowed to fight for this. I mean, this is to keep him on the lead lap. If a caution would come out, this would be life changing. Obviously, if he gets lapped, I mean, the 43 of O'Brien is up the road there. So I mean, I don't blame him for trying to stay here on the lead lap, trying to stay in front of this 44 machine. The issue is, it's the 28 loose.
Oh man, big problems there for the 28. He's gonna save it.
Wow, what a save! But I mean, you gotta give him credit, trying to stay on the lead lap, trying to keep his race alive. But a little bit loose out of turn 2, gonna definitely drop him outside the lucky dog position. And now AJ Hyder gonna try to get away again. He lost about a second of time. Back to Trafari there, trying to navigate around the 28. I wonder if maybe the 44 helped him out a little bit there. I think maybe they looked like just aero grip versus physical contact between those two. But AJ, really lucky he got out of that with no damage. I mean, that could have been really bad for the race leader.
Yeah, I agree, Christian. And that's just one of those things that, if there's an incident that happens right around you as a lap car racing for that lucky dog, for example, or just stay on the lead lap, it is just nothing that you can control. But, the 44 car obviously, didn't back off from that exchange, so was really, really aggressive, and it almost costed him there. So, have to be mindful moving forward for sure.
Yeah, and looking forward here, we'll go on his onboard. He's got 2 fast drivers in front of him. He's trying to put a lap down. That's Micah Walls. I don't know what happened to Micah to put him that far back. He might have got a penalty or something, or maybe had a mistake in pit road. I'm not sure, but we saw him. He was up to 6th place at one time, all the way back here inside, right outside the top 20 and 21st. But that's, the 43 of O'Brien. That's the 24 Walls. And then these guys were inside the top 6 earlier in the race.
Most certainly.
So these are not going to be easy passes for this 44 unless these guys just kind of pull over and let him have it. Looks like Micah might have a little bit of damage on that 24. Obviously, we saw Matthew make that mistake trying to get around Connor Trafari.
And let's give a few shout-outs to some of our guys in the top 10. I want to point out the seventh place runner of Gino Mero in the 46 car, up 20 spots from starting position.
as well as right behind him, Gabriel Dahari in the 72 car, up 21 spots. Some really good runs here for some drivers in the top 10.
Yeah, and Gabe needs a good rebound here. Did not run well at all at Sebring. He came into Sebring leading the points, last 4 spots, back to P5. You've seen him run inside the top 10. This is a really good bounce back here for the 72. I mean, he was leading the truck and the Cup Series points going to Sebring. I believe he lost both going out of Sebring, so a huge loss at the road course, but a really good bounce back here from the lady in black running inside the top 10 here with over, halfway done.
Yeah, the lady in black can definitely take, but she can also give in the moments where it feels like, you're definitely desperate for a bounce back. And so really cool to see that out of the 72 car right now. And as we almost eclipse on 90 laps complete here, we start to think about, this long green flag run that we've had since that first caution. Do we see another caution?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to the point where now that people might start to be impatient because we're underneath, 40 to go. There's not a lot of laps left, but someone I also want to give a shout out to, he just got passed, but Amir Bascom up 14 spots here inside the top 10 now. Got passed by the 12 of Christopher Robinson. Christopher, he's on a little bit fresher tires than some of the guys further back here, so he's trying to
the
hurry.
Speaking of the devil, the 72 car spinning it out on the bottom. That might bring out a yellow. Oh man, that was so close.
No caution for the 72, and we just talked about having a good run. We call it commentator's curse here, but yeah, I mean, he's gonna drop outside the top 15 back to 16th. Here comes, looks like the 53 of Chris Lilly. He's a lap down, so this isn't gonna be a move for position, but man, what a tough break for the 72. I mean, he's still inside the top 20 for now, but lots. I mean, that was an 9 point swing right there, just in one corner. So, and not only that, I mean, he definitely burned up those rear tires. It's going to be a struggle here for the rest of the race.
Yeah, really, really unfortunate there. But once again, I think that's the third incident that's been a spin that has not resulted in a caution there right off of turn 4. So, going to be interesting to see moving forward if that trend continues, right? Are we going to see a yellow for single car spins at all in this event?
A little bit of contact there. Is the 72.
Oh, man. Driving it in there.
Going to put the bumper to the 53. The 53 around.
Oh, my goodness. That has to be a yellow, right?
No yellow. That's... Wow.
Oh, my goodness. No yellow for the 53 car of Chris Lilly. Spinning off the embankment off of turn 4 there. Was lucky that many other cars didn't get involved, but yeah, maybe a little bit of retaliation from the 72 car.
Oh, you see right there. Bumper to the back of the 72 and the 1 and 2. You see a little bit of contact here as well. Chris Lilly almost hooked the 72 there. 72 saved it, and then it said, hey, man, you're a lap car. Don't race me like that. Bumper to the back of the 53. Chris Lilly will go around grabbing the 42 of Wyatt Roberts. I just don't see how that's not a caution. I mean, that's a multiple cars involved wreck. I mean, he's technically off the track, but I mean, I think that constitutes the yellow to get thrown. But regardless, we keep it green here from Darlington back up to AJ Hyder. 7, almost 8 second gap back to Connor Trafari. This, I mean, once again, we talked about it. Potentially, if we don't get a caution here, potential clinic here by the 44.
Yeah, I totally agree. But, the big loser in that exchange from that non-yellow incident we just saw was Wyatt Roberts. Definitely didn't deserve to get that damage and that, shake up from his pace that he was running. So hopefully not, critical damage on that right front of the 42 machine, but very unfortunate exchange between the 72 car. But yeah, that just kind of happens when you have guys that are in the race car, in the sim, and, getting a little frustrated, getting towards the end of the race here. Just got to make sure you keep a level head here because, it can change so quickly.
Yeah, and obviously you're starting to see the patience run out there from some of those drivers. You saw Chris Lilly get in the back of the 72. I mean, Chris, I thought would have a better run there, but obviously something happened that made him have to come down pit road there, and I think that just kind of derailed his race. And you start to see the patience run out of some of these drivers who are just not having the race that they need to continue to move themselves up through the points field, right? You look at some drivers who are, who were inside this top 16 now looking out, right? Outside looking in, you look at the 52 of Austin Doran. He's sitting back here in 27th. He was leading the practice, right? Obviously, just not the race he needed. You see a lot of damage on this 52 machine. Came home bridesmaid last week and just has not been able to put the race together here from Darlington. I mean, that's going to knock him back down. Obviously, you look at some of these other drivers here further back here who just needed to have a good run and are just couldn't make it happen tonight from Darlington.
Yeah, but nonetheless, a lot of good showings from these drivers too. So, good to see them still out on the racetrack, no matter how many laps down some guys further in the back are from the top 20 on way back. So, still cool to see. But Trifari, yeah, fading a lot there in second place.
When you talk about a recovery, you look at the 99 here and of Roldan. Remember, he was wrecked, borderline wrecked here. And still, holding on to P3 now. But here comes Maggio. Looked for the P3 position here with 33 to go. I mean, Diego still got a lot of damage on that 99. Still trying to hold on. Still going to keep the spot for now as we approach 32 to go.
Yeah, no, I like to see that out of those two cars in the 99 and the 51. Just realizing where their cars are at in the run right now. And, it's third place, right? There's definitely a lot to gain from this, but you don't want to take each other out just because you're trying to be overly selfish and, throw your car into the corner there. So I like to see that kind of respectful racing.
And Maggio trying to be cordial with getting around the 99, wants to do it cleanly. And we've seen Steven, right? He's been one of the cleaner drivers here on the network, trying to make these passes work right? He's not going to be someone to put the bumper to someone, even though he's a little bit quicker. He's going to try to do it the right way and still trying to put the pressure here on this 99 out of turn 2.
Yeah, you see right there, way high on the racetrack for the 99 car. 51 still chasing. Maggio going to try to go half a lane lower there on entry.
You just hear the dirty. You just see the dirty air coming to effect there. Just cannot get in the gas as soon as the 99, and just because he has to let it roll a little bit longer because of that aero grief that you see off the front of these bumpers, right? You just cannot get the air that you need to, get as much downforce in the car, right? I mean, an interesting fact for people who don't know, they said about 80 to 85% of the downforce is on the bottom of the car. So that clean air just means that much more. Obviously, NASCAR has put a lot of time in the, putting more aero effects on top of the car, but at the end of the day, it's the aero underneath that car with that underbody that makes the downforce, makes the speed, and when you have that dirty air locking you down, it just makes it so much harder to make this pass work.
Yeah, that pass is so difficult when you're on those old tires with this hot and slick racetrack. So long into the run, right? The fatigue starts to set in. Mentally, you're starting to get exhausted, right? Maybe a little hungry behind the wheel of the sim, but you got to put all that aside and you got to realize, like, hey, I got this guy right in front of me or I got this guy behind me. What do I have to do to maintain my position or advance my position? Try to make sure that I'm not throwing anything away here with the decisions that I make to be defensive or offensive.
And something to think about here, and a lot of people don't realize, is I feel like there's a lot more distractions in this kind of iRacing environment than there is in real life, right? And when you're racing in real life, it's just about the car, you and the car, and nothing else for the most part. Versus, in the sim, there's so much other stuff. You have to worry about potential, problems with your hardware, internet, other stuff, right? You could have, your dog come and unplug your pedals or something like that, right? So there's just so much more distractions in the sim than there are in real life, where it's just the driver in the car versus in the sim where anything can happen. I mean, I've heard so many stories of just weird stuff happening that can take someone out of a race. So you just almost have to be almost even more focused on the sim than you are in real life. Obviously, I've never been behind the wheel of a cup car, but I just feel like, there's so many more factors that can go into these races here on the sim.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Christian. And to reinforce what you said, I've been around, obviously, the sim racing community for a while now. And even in my own experience, even in like NR 2003, having some catastrophic graphics failures where your entire screen just, turns into a ton of polygons, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that you just can't prevent and you can't do anything about. Same thing with, pets or animals coming into your room and, just distracting you or, physically interacting with the sim in a way that's, impeding your your ability to focus or actually drive their car. Pedal cords being unplugged and not being able to drive. As we see now, the caution with 25 to go coming out. This is going to change absolutely everything.
I think it was the 17 at the Glen George potentially had an issue here. Take a look and see. Looks like he has parked the car for the night, so I'm going to assume there was something wrong with the 17. See that bright orange car there. Behind Chris Lilly. Remember, Chris Lilly's probably already got a little bit of a temper here from what happened. The Clan. Looking to the bottom side of the 53. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Contact, and around he'll go as well as Chris Lilly. He'll alt F4 Chris Lilly. Contact with some other drivers.
Okay, yeah, so that definitely warranted the caution there.
We'll see who else got caught up in this incident here. You'll see the 17, alt F4s here.
Oh.
See the 45 of Andretti Robinson, the 00 Jurgensmeyer also. Nowhere to go for those two drivers. So caution will wave here. This will change. This is going to change a lot because you're going to see everybody down pit side here. They have to. Here comes AJ Hyder.
Man, this is going to be really, really interesting, right? Does AJ feel confident in his short run speed now? It's going to be essentially a sprint to the finish with what'll probably end up being 22 to go or so. But we're going to be taking tires. We're going to have some people on differing strategies, 2 tires, 4 tires. Man, I don't even know what the strategy is here.
With 23 to go, I can almost guarantee we'll see 4 tires. I just think there's still too many laps to gamble onto. And with the gap he had, I can imagine that the 44 shouldn't have an issue winning the race off pit road there. You didn't even see the 9 in the camera shot there. You'll see the 44 race off pit road. He'll win it. You'll see Trifari. Diego Roland will barely beat the 51. See the rest of the pack out of pit road here. But we'll give it back to AJ Hyder. He wins the race off pit road and will lead us back to green with what? A 21 lap dash.
A really good run here for AJ Hyder, trying to put a cap on a clinic here for this race at Darlington. You see right there is competition all night. Connor Trifari, who he passed earlier on in the race. Just really, really the class of the field with these two. But, that's not to say that anybody can't give them a good run for their money either. Right behind, you see that 99 car as well, who we mentioned, with a pretty good run. So,
Look at all these wave around cars as
wow.
well.
Wow.
Needed an opportunity to get back on the lead lap or at least a 1 lap down. Now you'll see the pace car.
My goodness.
Catch back up to the leaders. They really slow down to the race leaders there. We'll see everybody cycle back out 2 by 2. He lights off on the pace car. We'll see actually Hyder will pick the bottom. So does Trifari. Remember, choose cone here in effect here at the SAAC Cup Series. So Trifari decides to pick the bottom with the 44. So if this can work out for Trifari if he can get clear of the 99. If he does not make that pass work here on the restart, it's going to be a battle for that P2 spot between him and the 99 and Diego Roland. Diego picks the top side. He'll start on the front row here with the 21 laps to go as we hit the stripe.
Yeah, this is the point in the race, Christian, where I wouldn't be too surprised to see, a 3-wide move out of the 9 car on the backstretch if, space and momentum permits. But, I really think that we are in for a good show right here.
It's going to be the 44 of AJ Hyder, the 99 of Diego Roland, Chevy front row. Hyder back to the power, back green, 21 to go. You see the 99 spin the tires.
99 car into the outside wall. That's going to allow the 9 car to get a good corner entry there. Ollie right behind him in the 31 machine. Ooh, really out of shape there from the 12 car points leader.
Everybody getting back to single file for the time being. Diego going to have to keep that head back down. I mean, he drops back to P6 outside the top 5. We got 21 laps, now 20 to do it. But it's going to be Trifari. Does he have anything for the 44 machine as we head to 20 to go?
Yeah, not sure if the 99 car of Diego got a little bit of help there or if he just spun the tires on his own and that was self-induced. But nonetheless, AJ Hyder leading the field here.
Now, the thing is Hyder, he's got the clean air. If with 20 to go, do you see Hyder just push? Because I don't know if 20 is too much to just go full out, or if you might want to save a little bit. But you see now the battle for P2, Maggio trying to size up this 9 machine to Hyder. I mean, of Jafari. Jafari going to keep the spot for now, but once again, it's this give and take battle. Do you push now to try to get to the leader, or do you save just a little bit to have something at the end here to try to run down that 44 machine?
Man, I think if you have the track position up here in this top 5, you need to go right now, because as you see, a lot of those guys already hitting the outside wall. They already have that in mind with the 51 car Maggio, really trying to keep the 9 on his toes here, jumping to the inside.
They still look inside. Hyder continuing to pull away, but the 9 still keeps the P2 position away from the 51. But at this point, how much patience does Steven have left in the tank here? He's definitely at least quicker for the time being than this 9 machine. And Connor doing a good job trying to keep the P2 spot away, but I think that 51 wants to go try to run down that 44 for the win.
Yeah, there's a big difference running behind that 9 car versus what will be running behind a little bit more clean air and then making the run towards the front, as we see, just not able to get that power down on the top side and carry that momentum forward. He's going to be about even here with that gap with Jafari in the second place position.
Jafari doing a good job, and this is the bad part of running in the dirty air here in 1 and 2. You can't really run behind someone. Well, the way the dirty air works there in 1 and 2, it's one of the hardest corners in the next gens to run, because one of the only cars that you kind of have to search around for grip everywhere around. And 1 and 2, there's only one lane you can really run. So imagine you see start to back off a little bit off the 9 machine. The Ollie Reeves, he's gotten up inside the top 4, up 3 spots where he started. The thumbnail car for tonight's broadcast. Needed a good run tonight here from the Lady in Black to put himself further up inside the points conversation.
Yeah, and Ollie Reeves, one of those guys like we mentioned earlier on, up a lot of spots, but right now up 3 spots in 4th place position. You see the low of 20th. So a really good run for him right now to be in this top 5. But now you see Maggio fading back from the 9th place position. Justin Rott still in that top 5 as he has been for the majority of today. So just really trying to put a cap on some good runs here for a few of these guys.
That slow car in the back, that's the Hari. Caution.
Oh, wow.
Hari around. Saw him dropping spots very quickly here further in the back. Take a look and see what happened to Gabriel here. One team side by side with the 43 looking underneath the 1.
Oh.
You see the aggressiveness starting to build up. The 1 gets a bumper put to him by the 43. Oh man, and it's the double zero.
Oh, Matthew O'Brien.
Yeah, just nothing that Gabe did wrong there. Just kind of got door checked by the double zero and went for a spin there. And then obviously the 43 getting them around and kind of fully turning them around there. So caution will wave once again, and we'll stack everybody back up one more time here from Darlington.
Yes, most certainly going to be a really, really exciting finish here from Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. They know how to get it done here in South Carolina, and so gearing up for what might be really exciting finish here, but nonetheless, got to get to the finish first. So for a lot of these drivers, just trying to make sure that they're dotting their I's, crossing their T's on this restart. And, man, at first I was thinking, put some tires on it, right? We were only green for a little bit, but, at what point do the tires start to fall off?
Yeah, I mean, it's super, super hard to make that call, right? Maybe I would say if you're like maybe 8th on back, might as well, right? You see a lot of drivers down pit side, and the drivers who needed this were those drivers who took those waiver rounds. You look at Chris Lilly, you see the 36 of Rivera as he comes out of pit side here. They needed a caution, and they're going to have better tires than the rest of the field here, and Cody's going to win the race off pit road. You see Gabe Cazzola, Wyatt Roberts further back here. They're going to be, by the looks of it, 15th on back on fresher tires. The issue is, can you get up there in time with what's going to be 11 to go when we hit the green flag? And now, going back to what you were saying, Matthew, you talked about going. Is this why you wanted those drivers to go? Because that caution could come out, and that tire saving just kind of goes out the window once that caution waves here. Does this give Connor Trafari another opportunity to maybe make a run here at AJ Hyder?
You know, it definitely does, and I'm not sure if Connor had that in mind. I'm sure he was not content with running in second place for the remainder of this event, obviously. But now that he is in second with the restart pending, you know, it was really interesting because they were equalized by that pit stop. But after however many laps of green they ran, second place car obviously wasn't the one setting the pace. It was the first place car of AJ Hyder. So if AJ was pushing that car, trying to build up a gap like we saw earlier on, 6-7 second gap, you know, all that's gone now, like you mentioned. So for the 9 car and even Ollie Reeves in that 31 car, as well as Maggio right on top, you know, I think a lot of these guys are still in contention here. So AJ's got to be able to be on his toes here.
See, this time, the 9 decides to go outside of your race leader. He's not going to follow him into the corner. And I like this out of the 9, trying to do something different. Going to start side by side with him. If he can get a good jump, he's going to have the advantage in the 1 and 2. So it's going to be interesting to see how does AJ Hyder control this restart. But you see the pace car, another hard left turn on the pit road. Hyder, Trafari, the 2 big guys here in tonight's race, getting ready to go green with 11 to go here from Darlington.
And AJ gets away really good. A little bit of out of shape there further on back. 3 wide into turn 1. Connor Trafari going to follow in second place.
A really good corner out of there. You'll see the drivers continue the file, single file, further on back. The AJ once again a huge gap back to Trafari. Does Trafari have anything left in the bank? You see side by side further back here, Diego Roland trying to make up those spots. He lost there on that last restart. And they try to make a move on the 76 Hurrah. Going to have to jump back in line. Here comes the 12, Christopher Robinson, last week's winner.
Trying to dive it down on the inside of there. Rolled on. Diego trying to run that top side. Oh, he's going to be sideways. That points leader into the front of the field. He saves it.
What a save by the 12. But that's going to be, I mean, you see all the points hemorrhaging away here with 10 to go from Darlington. Not what that 12 wanted to do here late in the race. What a save,
your heart
though.
just sinks at that point. Yeah, a really good save there. But got a feel for the 12 car. Can only imagine the emotion seeing all those points go away as they drive by him. Looking at Justin Rott in the 76 car, GOAT machine. A stout top 5 for the time being.
Yeah, a great run for the 76. Connor Trafari, though, has not been able to find anything for this 44. Another caution.
Oh,
late in the race here. Wyatt Roberts, the 60.
Wyatt Roberts.
See the 0-2 of Traver Burns involved in this. And now I'm not going to say this wasn't expected, but you're going to start to see the patience run out here late in the race. And the cautions will always wave here when the patience starts to run out. Take a look and see what happened here on the replay. Getting down in the 1 and 2. This is Traver. We'll go back to Wyatt Roberts potentially. Oh, that was further in the back there, but it looks like 2 separate incidences. The 72 of Dahari. Bumper to the back of the 42. You see the 46 of Gino Mera around. You see the 90 of Malachi Drake. You see the 94. Really bounced up the track there. We'll go ahead and take another look at another camera angle to see what further happened here. Another replay. So this was kind of the initial contact here off of our blimp cam. 42, really good run out of turn 2. 72 just gets in the back of him here, and this just causes a huge accordion further back here. Get Jogensmeyer, Malachi Drake. Nowhere to go. We'll ride on board with the 90. He was a little bit further back here. See another mistake there out of the 55 of Fidel. That kind of almost saves his ability to get through the wreck there, but right on board with the 90 machine of Malachi Drake and just nowhere to go when they accordion like that out of 2.
Yeah, just really unfortunate circumstances for a lot of guys who had pretty good runs put together here, but yeah, that's definitely the big one from here at Darlington Raceway.
The caution will wave once again here. And we're approaching borderline overtime if we get another. We will go to NASCAR overtime, actually, if we do get another caution tonight. We should be going back to green with a 5-lap dash.
Wow. Just really interesting circumstances here for a lot of these drivers. You know, can AJ Hyder pull it off? Can he get a good restart and get away like he has so many times on this tire set? Look at that, 77 of 121 laps led. The rest of them pretty much made up by the pit cycle cars that cycle to the front temporarily, as well as the 9 car of Connor Trifari. The only other contender really to AJ Hyder. So, definitely some implications here having these top 2 be the main contenders. Who wants it more here at the end, Christian?
Someone I'm still looking at is this 51. I think he's got a little bit more pace, at least these last couple of restarts, than the 9. I think Maggio's got a shot. If he can find a way around the 9, he might have something for this 44. Obviously, it's hard to tell because he's been stuck behind Connor Trifari there. Couldn't make the pass work as Trifari has had a really good time, working the defense to try to keep those cars behind. But now, Trifari, he once again picks the top side by side with this 44 machine here on the restart. Did he learn anything from that last restart, starting on the top side? I'm going to try to take that into the restart here with 5 to go.
Yeah, and it's all about learning from those restarts, right? What can you do differently? What can you do the same? Obviously, Connor Trifari liking that top side better than the bottom, and the 44 car still electing to take that inside lane. We'll have to see who can prevail here with 6 to go. What will be 5 to go from the Darlington Raceway.
Back to the power and a wrecking in the back.
Oh, Matthew O'Brien! A spin in the back, and they all scatter as O'Brien makes rear contact with the same wall he nosed it into earlier on in the race. We are still green at the front of the field. Now the caution comes out.
Matthew O'Brien, what a run that could have been tonight here for the 43. He gets loose, so we'll go back and take a look at it, but it looks like he just spins the tires here on the restart. Around he'll go.
Couldn't do much right there. Obviously not. Just not a good outing here for the 43 car at Darlington. Caught up in a few incidents throughout the day. And just really, really unfortunate here.
Well, AJ Hyder loves to see these restarts. Them wrecking on the restarts because it just allows him to keep the race lead. Obviously, the restarts can be pretty stressful as the leader, but AJ, I don't think really is stressing at all. He knows how to manage these restarts. He knows how to manage everything else. I think right now that's exactly what this 44 wants to see. For it to, come down to, potential. Now it's going to be NASCAR overtime by the looks of it as we cross the stripe here. It will add... Not quite. I think this will be a natural green and white checkered by the looks of it.
Yeah, I think so. Or maybe not.
And it looks on ATVO that it hasn't extended anything quite yet to past that 127 lap mark that we were supposed to get to. Obviously, we'll get the 1 to go here. Yeah, so this should be NASCAR overtime, actually. I just don't think ATVO has extended it quite yet, as we have not got the 1 to green quite yet. So we will extend it to 1. I believe we'll get 1 more lap here past that 127 scheduled distance mark. So be the 13 on Isola. He gets the lucky dog here. Get back on the lead lap. So good recovery for the 13. Obviously, we saw him caught up in a wreck earlier tonight, but we haven't got a lot. I haven't really gotten the best opportunity to talk about the throwback schemes, but nice looking car here for the 13 and a nice homage back to the RCR days.
Yeah, obviously, a variety of different Caterpillar, sponsored drivers throughout the years. Ward Burton, you think of Jeff Burton as well, keeping that Caterpillar sponsorship in the family. So I believe also Ryan Newman at one point may or may not have ran that Caterpillar sponsorship. So definitely a cool paint scheme. Haven't seen Caterpillar around as a sponsor in NASCAR recently, but very cool to see. So once again, yeah, getting ready for NASCAR overtime here. Can the 44 of AJ Hyder prevail on yet another restart? The cautions have in fact been breeding cautions, as the saying goes. Will the trend continue, and will the 44 be able to get away? Or will the 9 or maybe the 51 or the 31 in row 2 be able to jump these guys and be able to get a better restart? With 2 to go, it's going to all come down to this.
AJ Hyder on the bottom. He's loved this bottom on the restarts. Time and time again. He picks it again. Connor Trafari, he's been picking the top side. He wants the track position over that preferred starting spot there. But you still see lights on the pace car. Like, we'll extend it one more time.
Yeah, I mean, the nerves are just building now for these drivers in the car, right? You know, oh, wow. You see right there, Diego getting a little loose there, having a little bit of fun with it as we get ready to go green. But you see, he's actually in that top 6. Definitely a good run for him. That top 5, very, very strong today, mostly unchanging. So right now, the lights on the pace car are still on, actually. We are not on the final lap of the race. We will be going green once again. So, yeah, a lot of these drivers just, you know, trying to, you know, pull those belts tight, you know, take a sip of water, right? Make sure that they're...
Final lap here. Not sure if this is...
Huh. Are there overtime rules that we're not aware of?
I mean, we've always had overtime here in the past. Maybe did... The admin's not turning on for this.
We're doing two laps, and then we're ending the race.
Okay.
So 2 laps.
Okay. So it's gonna be an unofficial green and white checkered here. It will show final. It will show checkered here for these drivers, but we will do a 2-lap dash here, as it sounds like NASCAR overtime off. So it's gonna be AJ Hyder through the restart zone. Not quite. I think we'll do another lap around to get everybody up the pace here. I believe that was.
Yeah, I just want to make sure all the information is getting relayed to the drivers here for this unconventional continuation of the sim expected distance at least. But yeah, I just want to make sure we are on top of things as well from the booth perspective. But you see right there, the lights off the pace car. So likely going green here now for a 2-lap shootout in overtime. So a little bit of confusion, but these drivers still nonetheless trying to figure out what's going to happen on this restart. You know, it's going to be 2 laps of, you know, hard-fought racing, and all of it's going to come down to this now.
So now, lights off on the pace car. It should actually take the hard left turn down pit road, because to the pace car, the race is over. But for us, we're going to do a 2-lap shootout. It's going to be AJ Hyder, Connor Trafari. Who can get it done here tonight? From Darlington. Coming out of 3 and 4. Yeah. Pace car will stay. We'll see if they go. Okay, I think we're waiting. I think we're waiting on the pace car to maybe pull off. Potentially.
Yeah, I'm not sure how black flags or you know, timing and scoring is gonna handle this, but we will definitely try to relay all the information that we can as we receive it. But for the time being, we are aware that there are still 2 laps of regulation racing left in this event, whether the sim agrees with it or not. But as you see, the pace car still out on the racetrack, lights off. I'm just not sure what we are waiting on. More than likely just waiting for these drivers to be informed on the developments, so that they don't pay attention to the sim updates that they're getting from their desktops. But, I mean, if we do go green flag racing here, all it's going to take is one wheel spin from the pusher of the 44, maybe the 44 himself. That might allow Connor Trafari to jump ahead here. So the pushes are important on a track like this, but lane choice also really indicative of where these drivers feel that their cars are strong.
See if the pace car wants to pull off pit road here. No. I just think maybe now we'll go green. Wyatt Roberts, Connor Trafari spins the tires, and here comes the 51 of Mazzio. In the back is a huge wreck in the back. I don't think we're going to get a caution or anything.
This is
going to be the race for the win. The 44 of AJ Hyder out of turn 2. He's going to have Maggio. Steven Maggio to hold it on.
He's there. He's hungry. You see him running the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to cut a lot of distance off there. Coming to 1 to go here from South Carolina.
That's the gap. Back to P2 for the win. Steven Maggio, we talked about it. He might have had the only car here on the short run to get past this 44. of AJ Hyder.
Oh,
What's the gap going to look like out of turn 2? You see both of them, not in the outside wall. It's going to be one last gas here for the 51 and Maggio. What does Maggio do? A drive down into the corner.
Oh, man.
A bump
He's
in the
gonna
back
get
of the
into the right
44.
rear. They're going to be side by side here coming off the corner. Down to the start finish line, a drag race.
Hyder is going to get the win.
Wow.
And AJ Hyder, I believe, win number 1 for this driver of the 44. And what a way to do it in spectacular fashion. Steven Maggio, P2 here from Darlington.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. After all of that racing, a crazy restart procedure, and a 2-lap dash with no regard for all the other wrecked cars. Everybody got out of the way. It was a great finish here and some clean racing up front. Big props to Steven Maggio for keeping it clean there and giving us a good, exciting finish.
So here and up in Meyer, Hyder did get the win. Just to make sure, Hyder does win tonight's race here from Darlington. And we will try to get an unofficial race results here to you guys as soon as we can. Getting news from in my ears. So AJ Hyder, victorious here from Darlington. And what a way to do it. Obviously a little bit unconventional tonight here from the virtual Darlington Raceway. But AJ Hyder, Steven Maggio, at least 1-2. I could not get an eyeball on who else finished further back there. I did see Connor Trafari, unfortunately. Not going to get the finish. He probably deserved this. He spun the tires on a restart. We'll go back and maybe, while we have the opportunity, to take a look back at the replay here. See if we can see this last restart here from Darlington.
That was chaos. And I mean, we saw it with the 9 car. I talked about it right before we went green. You know, the wheel spin. That's all it takes for a mistake to, you know, come to fruition. And I think that might have been what we saw out of the 9 car, but maybe the 51 car with a really bad shove, possibly. We see right there, really late in the restart zone, Wyatt Roberts. Oh man, yeah, I'm thinking that maybe the 9 car got maybe a little spooked by the pace car being there. Or possibly, yeah. Oh man, yeah, just loose.
And then he grabs the 68 of Shirley, the 12 of Christopher in the back there. Oh man, and the 802 completely knocks the Cat 2's the 9 machine there, and that's not what you wanted to see if you're Trafari there. I mean, he had a top 2 car easily tonight, and unfortunately, gonna come home outside the top 15 most likely. We look back here at the race for the win here as they hit the white flag. Steven Maggio, so close. But you'll see AJ Hyder do 1 and 2. Both of them had a pretty decent corner there. But you saw Hyder there grab the outside wall just enough to slow him down the Boeing backstretch. And it was Steven Maggio trying to do everything he could across the stripe here. It was a side-by-side battle.
Oh, and man.
Close. For the win tonight. We'll see if we can back it up just a little bit here for you fans at home. It was that close. That was the margin of victory for tonight's race. Just half of a car length tonight here from Darlington.
Wow.
AJ Hyder takes it here in an unorthodox manner there. Looks like we do have Steven Maggio up here in the HVTV booth. Let's go ahead and talk to the driver of the 51 here, who finishes P2 from Darlington. Hey, Steven, Christian up here in the HVTV booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, P2 for you in this 51 team. So close, but you'll come up bridesmaid tonight here from Darlington. Obviously, had a lot of speed tonight here from that 51 machine. Obviously, an unorthodox kind of restart for you in this 51 team, but able to, you know, navigate around the 9 machine, who kind of spins his tires there, and was able to at least get within striking range of that 44, which I felt like no one else was able to do tonight. But walk us through your race tonight. Walk us through that last green-white checkered.
Yeah, I didn't qualify well, so I started around 10th, I think. And worked my way through. Thought we'd have more cautions than we did, but we didn't. So it was nice. Had the green flag pit stops and everything. So it was fun to have a longer run, which we don't usually have in SAAC, and worked my way up to 4th and then 3rd, and then we had all the chaos at the end, and I tried to just avoid it all. And then we didn't have green white checkers because it was left on the road course settings for the session. And everyone's all mad. I don't really understand what the huge issue was. I mean, it was still a normal green white checkered aside from the pace car being on the track. Everything else was the same. And yeah, Connor fucked up in front of me. I don't know. We had like 5 restarts at the end. I guess he couldn't learn from those 5 to not spin the tires on the last one, and he's all mad about it. And I was able to benefit from that, but I guess it's not going to matter because Cody's saying we're going to get points based on the best position we were either before or after the caution. So I'm going to get second, and he's also going to get second. So we'll see how that works out. And yeah, so dual second place with the guy that spun out on the final restart. That's really cool.
Definitely an interesting way to end tonight's race. Obviously, we're not used to those kind of mistakes here in the sim, but it happens here. But obviously, Steven, really, I felt like you were a top 3, top 4 guy tonight. You come home, I guess, P2, regardless if it's tied with someone else. But before I let you go tonight, anybody want to thank, shout out, or appreciate for tonight's run here from the Lady in Black?
I mean, with all the chaos, I'll still shout out Cody. I really don't think it was that big of a deal, like everyone's making it out to be. But shout out him for running the league and all that he does. I know he donates a lot to the league with the prizes and paying you for the broadcast and just running everything. So that's really cool. And then shout out you for doing the broadcast because it's nice, always nicer to have a broadcast, something to go back and watch. Shout out to Go Guys, myself, Justin, Micah, Jurg. Shout out my call, which was me, Gabriel, and Matthew. And shout out AJ on the win. He dominated, so I'm just happy to see him be able to close it out because he's lost a lot of them at the end.
Yeah, definitely a good run for that 44, but a good run for you. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the kind words up here in the booth, and we wish you good luck next week coming back on Thursday.
Thank you. Have a good one. God bless.
So I'm getting told here your top 3 was AJ Hyder, Steven Maggio, Justin Rott up here in my ear. So I think we have Justin Rott. He started that restart back in P6. What a way to bounce back from him. But we'll go ahead and drag up Justin Rott. I think Matthew has him down in pit road.
On pit road with Justin Rott. Justin, obviously a good run here for you. Being told that you are 3rd place here in this event at Darlington Raceway here in South Carolina. Just walk us through just firstly the last restarts and the kind of unconventional ending we had here.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot going on those last couple restarts. I had damage for the whole time, and was just really trying to keep the top. So I couldn't really get past on the bottom. It was pretty hard to pass if you weren't on the top. So yeah, just trying to hold position there on the top, and it all worked out there on that last green white checkered.
Yeah, obviously, you know, a lot of chaos at the end there, but a good finish for you. And starting 10th, you know, did you feel like you had the car to, you know, battle for the lead at any given point in time, or were you spending most of your time preoccupied with just keeping the car underneath you?
I felt like I had a pretty good feel the balance of the car pretty early on, at least in traffic and everything, and just had solid first run. Got up to I want to say the top 5, and looked like I was going to finish 5th or 6th there. But you know, progress was hindered a little bit with damage, but I really don't think it ended up affecting my finishing position, or even if it went green. So you know, I felt like I just did a pretty good job managing the race, and it was tricky to keep underneath Avia, but I felt like I did a solid job at it tonight.
Yeah, that GOAT car was definitely exciting to see charge up through the field from the booth. Talk to us a little bit about where you felt with your strength with regard to the short run versus the long run. Did you feel like your car, and as a driver, did you have any did you notice any difference towards the end of the race when we had all those cautions versus earlier on when we had our green flag pit stops?
I mean, the track tightened up a little bit, and of course, with the cautions at the end. But just comparing those first two, long runs with the pit stop in the middle, I mean, the car felt pretty much the same. I got damaged pretty early on, right when it came out of pit road, really, just a couple laps after. So, I mean, it's a little hard to compare those, but I felt like either way, I wasn't much better, much worse on the long run, short run. I think I did a better job than I expected there on those last couple restarts because, that one or two, we had a couple lap run there and felt like I did okay there. And yeah, well, wasn't trying to oversave or burn off the tires necessarily, just trying to keep it in the medium pace, I guess, and felt like I did a good job at that.
No, we really appreciate the insight, Justin. Before we let you go, though, we want to give you an opportunity to give a shout out for your finish here at Darlington Raceway.
Yeah, shout out Steven for getting second up in front of me, all the goating teammates. That's Gabe, Jerd, Micah, Steven. So all of them, all of the T1A guys listening to me right now on the call, and everyone else that puts this on for us every week, and for having a broadcast for us and everything.
Oh, we really appreciate those kind words and hope you have a good rest of your evening, Justin. Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you too.
Justin Rock comes home P2, and it's time to talk to your race winner tonight here from the virtual Darlington Raceway. AJ Hyder led 84 laps tonight here in tonight's race. Let's go ahead and talk to the driver of the number 44 who put on an absolute clinic tonight. AJ, it's Christian and Matthew up here in HVTV booth. You got a copy? Hey, AJ, it's Christian and Matthew up here in HVTV booth. You got a copy?
Good, sir. I got you guys.
Well, what a way to win tonight here, putting on an absolute clinic, leading 84 of the 128 laps tonight. But obviously, an interesting way to win tonight, obviously with the weird chaos of that last overtime restart. But obviously, it looked like you were by far the best car tonight. Got out to almost, at one point, a 9-second gap back to Connor Trafari at one point. Just walk us through your win tonight. Walk us through what was the difference between you and the rest of the field.
Yeah, the race start was okay. I was pretty much trying to match Connor at the beginning of that first run that we had there. I felt like I did a pretty good job of it. I think the key was just to manage the right rear that entire race, especially off of 4, with just how much horsepower these things got. You got to really baby it off of 4, and I felt like I did the best out of anyone today regarding the long run, and so I led so many laps. Didn't mess up the pit stop, which was great, and again, would have led the whole thing if we didn't have any yellows there at the end. Of course, we get a late race yellow for guys that are 3 laps down, so that was a little frustrating. But yeah, it was all about managing the restarts there. Try not to or spin your tires there. That whole sequence at the end there, I really have no comment for that. I do think it was a little poorly managed, but that's whatever. You still do all those things right, and you still almost get wrecked off of 4 with a little bit of a fault of my own off of 2. I kind of let him get there. But yeah, overall, pretty solid day. Just glad to get a points win finally.
Yeah, you come home P2 from Homestead, P3 from Sebring, so you back up tonight's win, 3 podiums in a row. But, walking us through, obviously, you talked about these restarts. What is the mindset you have to have coming in to these last couple of restarts? You knew that you would have to continue to stack the field back up and just try to hold on here to, secure your first win of the season.
I mean, you just got to get the timing right, especially here. As long as you get them clear by turn 1, you can pretty much just manage the air just because of how bad it is, especially in 1 and 2. And that's what we did.
You definitely did a great job managing the restarts. You never let anybody get back to you there, at least going into 1 and 2. So congratulations, AJ. Once again, first win of the season. Obviously had a couple of string of good runs, a second and a third. Now you come home victorious from the Lady in Black. We congratulate you on that. But before we let you go, AJ, anybody you want to thank, shout out, appreciate for your first win of the season tonight?
Yeah, for sure. Just want to shout out the Pepsi guys. They brought out the Pepsi machine. It's bad fast day here at Darlington. Just want to shout out Connor, Chris Lilly, Shuey, Diego Roldan, and Nicholas Budemike.
Well, we definitely appreciate your time up here in the HVTV booth, AJ, and we'll let you get dragged back down to celebrate with your friends and family, and we'll look for you at Bristol to see if you can go back to back there from the world's largest coliseum.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
AJ Hyder comes home victorious tonight from the Lady in Black, and Matthew, obviously a very unorthodox way to win tonight. Obviously, not really used to seeing the races go the way it went tonight, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. AJ Hyder takes it home tonight from Darlington.
Yeah, and obviously, yeah, talk about unconventional. I mean, not only just with the race finish, Christian, with all the chaos with the sim, but also just the dynamic that the race was implying that it would go on as a long green flag race with not a lot of yellows. We had from the drop of the green, we had some lazy spins. We had that first yellow. Then right after that, we just saw the 9 car of Connor Trafari kind of fade back, and then obviously AJ Hyder take advantage and really go to the point there and lead the charge from the race from then on out, and then had those green flag stops that we mentioned. And there were a lot of guys that were trying to capitalize on maybe a yellow coming out at that point, but it did not come out. And we had at least 3 or 4 other lazy spins that I talked about that didn't bring out a yellow, and so it seemed like that was going to be setting the precedent moving forward. Little did we know, eventually later on, with about, I think it was 25 to go or so, maybe a little more than that, we had a yellow come out, and that kind of set the reset rather the race from then on out. We also had good racing up to that point, around the 5th place position. So it was good having that long green flag run, and then obviously all the chaos that came with the cautions was also equally as exciting in its own way. But for all the guys that had good runs, we had some guys that were really unlucky. Matthew O'Brien, right? Our points leader in the 12, getting caught up in that late wreck with the 9 car of Connor Trafari. So a lot of possible implications moving forward here. But obviously, a lot of bounce backs, and as we saw out of our winner in AJ Hyder, being able to hold off a hard charging Steven Maggio was definitely indicative of all of the driving talent that he has behind the wheels. So really, once again, as I always say, being up in the booth, no matter what series that we're traveling to from HVTV as a network, always something to look forward to, and always, a lot of action on the racetrack.
Now, we're not going to be able to have our unofficial results graphic for you guys tonight here at home, obviously, with the way the race ended, but I do believe that they are updating the spreadsheet here that they update their unofficial race results for. So we're going to go ahead and read those off for you guys tonight here. So obviously, we know that AJ Hyder, Steven Maggio, Justin Rott, they come home 1, 2, 3 tonight. Ollie Reeves back there in P4. Diego Roldan back there in P5. Amir Basco in P6, a good finishing result for him. Duncan Fogg, Gabriel Dahari, Andretti Robinson, and Shockey Tarpley round out your top 10.
Yeah, and as we look on back, we have our 11th place of Trevor Burns, James Bomar in the 12th place. No, actually, we're taking a look at the finishing order here. My apologies. We want to be talking about AJ Hyder here, obviously our race winner, and then let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
It looks
Gabe
like
Cazzola is, I think, our 11th place finisher. Brian Lorenzo was our 12th place finisher. Gabriel Dahari, Christopher Robinson, Andretti Robinson, Cody Riveras, Brad Sawinski, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, Fidel Fabian, and Austin Dorian rounding out that top 20. My apologies.
Yeah, it looks like they're redoing the unofficial race results here in the spreadsheet, so we'll continue to wait a couple seconds here for them to update their top 30 here, but I'll go through your top outside the top 20 here. It looks like Gino Mero in the 46 will be back there in P21st. P22nd goes to Michael Walls, and Wyatt Roberts back there in P23rd. Both those drivers there, P22, P23. Felt like they could have had a better run tonight, but sometimes that's just the way it is. They'll not get the finish that they want. You look back there, the P24 will go back to Malachi Drake, Connor Zola, P25. P26 goes to Chris Lilly in that 53 machine. It looks like, by the looks of it, P27, your last car, at least that they have filled in right now, the O2 of Trevor Burns back there in P27. So that's as much information that we have right now for you fans at home. Yeah, I actually ended up going through our unofficial race results from last week, it looks like, but by the looks of it, I'm not sure, because AJ definitely didn't win. Here we go. They're trying to switch things around right now. So that's what the most that we can give you tonight here. But obviously, we know that the top 5 will consist of AJ Hyder, Steven Maggio, Justin Rott, Ollie Reeves, Diego Golden, your top 5. But going back to the actual race, Matthew, you look at the long runs. You look at we had a legitimate green flag pit stop tonight, and obviously the caution started to fall within that last 30 to 35 laps.
Yeah, and those cautions that started to fall, they kept coming and kept coming, and so the sim decided, hey, we're gonna save all the cautions for the end here, and AJ Hyder definitely prevailed there at the end, was able to hold off, a variety of different competitors, and especially that late charge there and that late contact in turns 3 and 4 from Steven Maggio. So, drag race to the start finish line doesn't get much better than that. So, really can't complain much.
And you definitely can't complain about that. An awesome finish. So we congratulate AJ Hyder on his first win of the season. Obviously, was so close these last couple of races to getting it done. P2 from Homestead, P3 from the 90 minutes of Sebring, and tonight caps it off here with a 1 from Darlington. 82 of the 128 laps led. What a dominating way to end it tonight. But for myself and Matthew Prochaski up here in the HVTV booth, we say good night here from Thursday. On this Thursday night here for week 4 of the SAAC Cup Series here from Darlington. But once again, we appreciate anybody for coming out and watching tonight's broadcast. We appreciate all the SAAC guys for allowing us to come on and give you guys a good show at home. Obviously, an unorthodox finish, but glad that we could get it under our belt tonight here. So thank you to everybody who puts on the stuff here at SAAC, all the admins. Thank you to the Cody for continuing to stick with us and continuing to support us here at HVTV. But once again, say goodnight. If you guys wouldn't mind dropping a like and subscribing to the High Velocity TV YouTube channel and sharing the broadcast with friends and family so we can continue to grow this network, to continue to grow the audience for the SAAC Cup Series, the ARC Pro Series, and the ISNF Cup Series, and any future series we cover here on High Velocity TV. But for myself and Matthew Prochaski, once again, we wish you guys a good Thursday night and look forward to tomorrow as the ARC Pro Series goes to Darlington once again here for their Week 5 campaign. But once again, you've been watching SAAC Cup Series production here on High Velocity TV. Wish you guys a good rest of the Thursday, and we'll see you guys soon.